Hey everybody, welcome to No Story is Sacred. If you've never listened before, basically we're four siblings who grew up talking about the art of storytelling. Now that we're adults, we're still talking about it, and we're inviting you to join the conversation. I'm Brendan, and much like Mr. Darcy, I think I'm a little surly.
I'm Pippin, and when I'm sad, I like to watch Lizzie refuse Mr. Darcy.
I'm Kat, and did you hear? He has 5,000 pounds a year!
And I'm Alex, and it is a truth universally acknowledged that my leg is broken.
Oh, it's true.
You know, Al, when we were talking about the producers last time and we said break a leg, we were joking.
Well, you know, I just wanted to commit.
That's what we love about you.
But you know what? You couldn't even commit all the way. It's just a broken ankle. What?
Wow.
I said it.
Hey.
Just.
Hey. It's broken in two places.
Oh, shit, is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
One of them's a full break and one of them's a fracture.
Oh, I
You don't
didn't know
do
that.
half measures, do you?
That's why he's the best of us.
Okay. So, broken legs aside, today we're talking about the book Pride and Prejudice, so spoilers abound. If you want other specific content warnings, check out the show notes at nostoryissacred.com. Now, for those of you who haven't read the book or seen any of its many adaptations, the summary from Wikipedia is, Mr. Bennet of the Longbourn estate has 5 daughters, but his property is entailed, meaning that none of the girls can inherit it. His wife has no fortune, so it is imperative that at least one of the girls marry well in order to support the others on his death. The novel revolves around the importance of marrying for love and not for the simplicity of money, despite the social pressures to make a good, which is to say, wealthy, match.
I don't know about that. I don't think that that's the message at all. Fuck that noise.
No, they were talking about love from the beginning.
Well, not just that, but also, I hate to say it, I do think that Charlotte made a good marriage. You know?
Charlotte wasn't wrong.
Charlotte went into that with her eyes open. And that's the difference.
Charlotte who married
Mr. Collins!
Mr. Collins.
Lizzie refused because she did not love him, and he's kind of a jerk.
He's kind of a moron, and that's fine. But, Charlotte and Lizzie were in the same position.
Well, Charlotte, I think, was a bit worse position.
Yeah, that's true. Charlotte is Lizzie's best friend.
Late 20s.
Lizzie is the second daughter of the 5 daughters. She's our viewpoint character. And her best friend is Charlotte Lucas. Charlotte Lucas is older, a spinster, is given in the book that perhaps she is a bit on the plain side. And she doesn't have a lot of prospects before her. She's not particularly romantic, and when Lizzie decides to say no to her cousin, because this is England and cousins are a valid marriage pool.
Cousins in the Regency were not just in current England.
If Lizzie had married her cousin, then that would have ensured that Longbourn, the house that they were all living in, would remain in the family, and then that would be great. But Lizzie was like, I don't like you, and you are weird, and also that was...
And I won't make you happy.
I won't make you happy, so you probably can't make me happy, and that's fine.
And then the whole house was in a tizzy.
A tizzy about Lizzie.
No.
Womp, womp, womp. And then Mr. Collins then goes and stomps off, goes to stay with the Lucases instead, and Charlotte puts 2 and 2 together and comes up with, I could finally be a mistress of my own house.
Move out of my parents' house.
Yep. And she's like, you know what? This works for me. And the thing is, it does. Lizzie doesn't particularly respect it, but that's actually an issue that comes up. The real matter is what makes you happy. This makes Charlotte happy.
Would you say that Lizzie is prejudiced?
Yep.
Yeah. Has a bit of pride.
Mm-hmm.
More than a bit. More than a touch.
More than a touch of both.
Basically, the novel is a lot of Lizzie accusing Mr. Darcy of having pride and also prejudice, and then having her be confronted with the fact that she also has these faults.
She's a bit judgy.
A little bit judgy.
Mr. Darcy is the main love interest of the book. This is Jane Austen. This is Regency period. This is the early 1800s, where people were wearing very little in the way of underwear, very thin clothes. This is a surprisingly sexy time. I wish I was joking. This was the Grecian look was extremely popular, which means really thin clothing.
Thin muslin gowns.
It was like the 60s, but in England.
Basically.
And longer dresses.
Yeah, the idea is that you were trying to look like the Greek gods and goddesses, like, so that kind of columnar look. That was what was popular. And so, yeah, there wasn't, a whole lot of stuff going on in the clothing department. And so naturally this has become a very popular time for
writers
to put in romantic stories. It was a very cool time for sexual fun.
Technical term.
And nobody gets this. Nobody gets this about Jane Austen. The number of dick jokes she had to have known is not insignificant. And, of course, in Jane Austen, the amount that she talks about, people born out of wedlock, people becoming mistresses, sexy times, inappropriateness is quite astonishing.
I guess kind of bringing it back to Mr. Darcy there.
Oh, yeah, I started.
Yeah.
Whoops, I got into a tangent.
And the prejudice and all that. What's his deal?
He has a lot of money. He owns all of Derbyshire, being a large section of England.
Mm-hmm.
England, all 2 feet of it.
In the beginning, he seems standoffish and mean and cold, and to be fair, he is kind of all those things.
Yep.
But it's also kind of a defense mechanism because he does not know how to people.
He's super shy.
Although,
the first time we meet him, he goes to a party where he knows 3 people who he came with, and they go off and talk to other people, and he's like, what do I do?
I'm gonna hang out by the punch bowl.
It's like, why aren't you dancing to any girls?
Yep, not gonna do that. Fuck that noise.
Why aren't I dancing with any girls? Because the ones I know already have partners.
Well, which is hilarious because that is the very purpose of asking other people to dance, at least, then and now, is that it gives you, if you don't know what to fucking do with yourself during a party, you look for the unattended girls and you go ask one of them to dance. That's what they do. They're waiting for the unattended dudes to pick you up. You don't have to talk.
But as someone who's socially anxious, I'm like, nope, I'm on Darcy's side. Where's the punch bowl? Hanging out by that.
Yep.
Gonna text my friends in the corner.
I bet there's awesome... Oh, he wrote little carrier pigeon messages.
Actually,
he was live tweeting it.
True story, you guys. True story. The Duchess of Devonshire, her husband and their mutual girlfriend, all used to text one another with something like leaked speak. It was in shorthand, they called each other by weird nicknames, and what they would do is they'd write these little tiny notes and pass them to a servant, who would then go to the next room or where the fuck the other person was, who would then pass messages back and forth. We have text messages. That is what's going on this time period.
Hey, girl.
Oh, man, we actually have some of the, actual text of those messages. Let me tell you, you are not far wrong.
Hey, girl, eggplant emoji.
Yes.
They would have.
If the listener's not aware yet, this is my time period. I know way too much about it. I'm gonna try to swallow some of this back.
We'll see how that goes.
Fuck off. Mr. Darcy is the hero of the story, or at least the male lead of the story. He is significantly wealthier than Lizzie and Lizzie's family, and he is super shy, whereas Lizzie is super not.
Basically.
They're foils of each other. Isn't that convenient and nice?
What?
Well, isn't the central conflict of the story that Mr. Darcy misunderstands Lizzie's sister's intentions and tries to intervene and then just causes a whole lot of misunderstandings. Basically, if these people were a lot better at communicating with each other, half the conflict in the story wouldn't have been there.
Well, a lot of it is also bound by the societal rules at the time, so there's only so much you can communicate.
Yeah.
You know, he was kind of a jerk about the whole Jane thing. Jane being Lizzie's older sister.
Mm-hmm.
Lied about her being in town.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was the thing he was the biggest dick about. Trying to protect his friend, he had the wrong information, but trying to protect your friend is not itself a dick move.
Wait a second, guys. Can we do a breakdown quickly of the relationships?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we need a diagram here.
Okay, diagram. All right. Okay, the people involved. We have the Bennett sisters. There's 5 of them. There's Jane. She's the oldest. She's the one who is the most appropriate as these things go.
She's also the prettiest and the sweetest and the nicest, and she's just so perfect, and her name is Jane. In no way like Jane Austen.
Wow. In no way like there's only 5 names in the entirety of British history.
Listen, I'm trying to drag Jane Austen. Let me be.
Anyway.
Do you want to take up that challenge? Do you want Jane Austen to drag you?
No.
She would. She fucking would.
Zombie Jane Austen.
She'd do it politely at dinner. Anyway, then there's Lizzie, Elizabeth Bennett. She's our main character. She is in the mold of Jane Austen heroines who are feisty and clever. Beneath that is Mary. Mary is, she's Mary. She's just sort of like the
middle child.
She's the one who tends to get cut out of adaptations.
Yep. She's Peggy from the Schuyler Sisters.
Peggy.
I said it. And then there's Kitty and Lydia. Kitty is the second to last, and Lydia is the youngest. Lydia is 15, Kitty is 16. They are important characters to this story. Although, really, let's face it, Lydia kind of outshines them. Lydia is like Lizzie, but much, much worse. She's headstrong and out there, and also kind of stupid.
In a bad way.
Yep.
She is inappropriate.
Yeah.
She is a flirt.
Big flirt.
Mm-hmm. She does not know how to behave herself in polite society.
Now, technically, she is still a child. They should have not let her out in polite society at this time. It is unusual that she was so young and was out and about in society. However, she is also her mother's favorite because she is the most like her. And so all of these sisters are out in polite society, despite not being married and also being too young.
What is old enough in polite society at this point in history?
Not fucking 15.
17, 18?
17, 18 is really appropriate.
Okay.
And you should really get engaged around about there. Lizzie is not too old.
She's not yet 1 in 20.
She's not yet 1 in 20. She's not too old. She's still actually she and her sister are both well within range.
But sort of getting up there.
27, which I think is what Charlotte's supposed to be or something like that, is...
That's spinster, yeah.
That's spinster. That's way too old.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
In that time period. Anyway.
I see, you guys are trying to comfort me, but it's okay. I'll die a spinster. It's fine.
How are those socks going? Are you darning them well?
She's gonna cut you, man. She's gonna be mean to you over a dinner.
I'm gonna write you a snide note is what I'm gonna do.
There you go. Anyway, so that's the Bennett family. The mom is very, actually, as far as these things go, she's a very successful Regency mama. By the end of this book, the majority of her daughters are married. She's won. Good for her.
She's also loud, unsubtle.
One gets the impression that when she was younger, she was very, very pretty.
Which is how she managed to marry a gentleman when she was the child of the working class.
Yeah.
A merchant.
Yeah, she's a kid of a merchant.
Yeah. And so this is another one of the, think about what will make you happy in the long run. And Mr. Bennett is basically just living life wishing that everything was terrible.
Lizzie is his favorite.
Lizzie's his favorite.
He's also very laissez-faire.
Yeah. He himself can be rude on occasion. Usually when it will not benefit.
Most embarrassed Lizzie.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's the main family. You have the Lucases. We've discussed them. That's Charlotte and her younger sister. Doesn't really matter. They're friends. Blah.
They have parents. It doesn't matter.
It's a thing. There's a cousin who is actually Mr. Bennett's heir because this is entail and gentlemen and nobility, blah, 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 blah.
Women can't inherit.
The farm of Longbourn, instead of going to... It's supposed to go to a male heir. There is no male heir. The nearest one is the cousin.
He is a minister of some sort at a faraway grand estate.
Yep, the grand estate. Haha, Lady Catherine de Bourgh. Then you have the visiting family. The visiting family, which is Mr. Bingley.
Bingley, yes.
Who has 5,000 a year.
And he bought Netherfield.
He fucking bought a house. He's like, I'm gonna buy this beautiful manor house, and just because shits and giggles, I need a house.
He wanted to live in the country.
Yeah, fuck it.
Everybody said it was a bad idea. Country manners.
Anyway, we get introduced to them at this big ball or whatever.
A big party.
A party where he brings himself, his sister, his two sisters, and Mr. Darcy. Miss Carolyn Bingley is super hot into Mr. Darcy, but he doesn't like her.
You don't date your bro's sister. It's kind of
bad luck. Although they date their cousins. So anyway, so
Look, bro code existed back then.
Mr. Darcy has a younger sister. She's important. She is not yet 15 years old. Wait, she is 15 by the time. The same age as Lydia. Will that become important? Yes, it will. And his aunt is Lady Catherine de Bourgh, who is, of course, the patroness of Lizzie's cousin.
Everything's so tangled together.
And finally, though, there is Mr. Darcy's sort of adopted half-brother type guy. The son of his father's steward.
Yeah.
I don't think half-brothers a legit relationship between them.
It isn't, but they grew up together.
Foster brother?
Sort of.
No, I do not think either of them would claim any sort of brother.
They grew up together, and then they grew apart as one was filled with...
ambition?
No,
Lust.
as one was filled with all the good, and the other was filled with all the bad.
Wickham slept around and wasn't subtle about it.
And what was the name of this guy? Wickham?
Wickham. And so to cut the plot of the book very short, Wickham tried to and almost succeeded in seducing Darcy's younger sister, who was not yet 15, which even then was sketchy as fuck. Tried to elope with her so as to get all the money and all the riches and so on. Mm-hmm. Didn't work. Ends up joining the military and then runs off with Lizzie's younger sister, Lydia.
Who is, again, 15.
Yep.
And he was not going to marry her.
He was not going to marry her. She had no money. She had nothing. The reason he was able to do that was because...
Lydia's an idiot?
Well, that too. But Mr. Darcy, in order to not ruin his own sister's honor or what have you, didn't tell everybody and their dog that Wickham is an asshole. He did tell Lizzie, because Lizzie sort of had a thing for Wickham, but then didn't. But believed that Darcy had cut Wickham out of his rightful inheritance or something like that. Darcy's like, bitch, no. What actually happened was that he tried to seduce and run away with my sister, and it was gross, so please, don't do that. And then Lizzie kept his confidence, and in doing so, her sister Lydia got taken in.
I think, doesn't it all conclude with Mr. Darcy essentially paying off Mr. Wickham and thus forcing the marriage?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So Lydia gets married. The first
Yay.
of all the sisters. Well done, Mrs. Bennet.
And then Liddy accidentally lets it slip that Darcy was the one who fixed everything because the whole house was in a tizzy about the Lydia thing. That house is often in a tizzy.
In a tizzy.
Mm-hmm. I'm just imagining Mrs. Bennet just kind of retiring to the liquor cabinet at night, just muttering to herself.
Oh my god. No,
Mr. Bennet would be the one muttering to himself. She'd be the one just with the bottle in her hand.
It's true.
Okay.
No, not the ball in hand. She would be on the lounge, bemoaning her fate, and pantomime. I mean, yes, pour some more.
Oh, yes. Yep. Nope, that's right.
Until she found out her daughter was actually married, regardless of the circumstances.
It's like, it's a win.
It's a win. So Lizzie's like, well, why, hey, turns out that he doesn't hate me because my sisters know better than she should be. So, and then they get married. And then Mr. Bingley and Jane had been in love with each other from the start. And so they get married. Hooray.
Despite some, sketchy bro moves from Mr. Darcy of trying to bring them apart, because maybe thought that she was like a gold digger or whatever, but it worked itself out.
He was willing to be okay with her family being terrible, but he was genuinely concerned that she didn't actually care that much for
him,
for Bingley. And so he thought he was protecting his friend from having his heart broken.
At which point Lizzie was all like, Jane does not show her true feelings, even to me. And I'm her favorite.
Well, not just that, but also, it's like, I'm sorry, are you blaming her for not being as open and upfront as the rest of us that you just called rude and terrible? I'm sorry, what?
She's reserved, you ass.
Maybe you recognize that.
Basically, a ton of shit happened. In a
lot of shit happened.
Romantic hijinks kind of way.
Romance was happening, comedy was happening. You might call it romantic comedy, you might not. You know, whatever, however the glove fits, right?
Indeed.
So, so that's a good synopsis of the story, I'd say.
Thank you.
I mean, synopsis is a strong word.
Y'all got to learn a little bit about the story of Pride and Prejudice, as well as a bit more into the mindset of the Regency romance era. Wow.
Oh man, I remember when reading Pride and Prejudice in high school. Mm-hmm. I was the one where classmates would come up to me before the English test and going, so what happened? Why is it important? Like, I don't get why everyone's so upset about this. And I had to be like, listen, nobody approves of that match because sure, as Lizzie says towards the end, he is a gentleman, she is a gentleman's daughter. They're the same class that way. And we must marry within our class.
Always marry within our class.
But he's a gentleman, like, one step below nobility. And she's a gentleman's daughter, one step above merchant.
One step above pig farmer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we get into our various story treatments, just addressing, I guess, the elephant in the room. Did you guys ever read the Pride and Prejudice and Zombies book?
Let me tell you.
I own a copy somewhere.
I'm so upset about that fucking book.
I watched the movie.
I own the Lizzie Bennet pop figure.
I'm so unhappy.
Because that is my aesthetic. Woman,
so
Regency gown, sword, something like, yeah.
I'm so angry about it.
Why?
Let me tell you guys, okay. The problem is, it's a great idea. Pride and Prejudice is in the public domain. It's a fantastic fucking idea to go in there and add zombies. I love that. That is so great. What they didn't do was make it historically accurate. And they could have. It could have been so fucking cool. I'm just really angry that they didn't go as far as they could have. And instead, they cheaped it the fuck out.
See, I thought, from what I recall, that was sort of lazily done. Like, there wasn't, it wasn't like an adaptation. They just sort of added
zombies to it, yes.
Yeah.
But that's what got me. I couldn't.
And then kind of making fun of some of the scenes with, like, instead of a ballroom dance, it's, slaying zombies. That's about it. It doesn't really run with the zombie tropes all that much.
I mean, how does polite society work when the zombies are around? They're not asking the important questions.
Yep.
Nah, it's just they kill zombies and then you resume onto the story of Pride and Prejudice as per normal.
I mean, is it impolite to kill another family's undead family member?
Very good question.
That would be a really funny introspective joke about the time period as well as the original source material, as well as incorporating zombies. So, yeah.
That's my thought on that one. I'm so angry.
The thing I'll give it credit for is that it probably encouraged more people to read Pride and Prejudice at all.
It's a great book.
It's a great book. Jane Austen's a great fucking writer.
She is.
All right. So, who wants to go first with story ideas?
I'll go.
Oh, okay.
We'll see whether or not it works out. I have a lot of feelings about Pride and Prejudice. I don't have a lot of feelings about changing it. Because you'll never guess what I was doing with a friend of mine.
What?
Ballroom dancing?
Ooh.
Okay, that's awesome. A friend of mine and I, we wanted to try to pull a Pride and Prejudice and Zombies because it's, why the fuck not? And we were actually going to gender switch the whole book.
Oh, okay.
So it was the 5 Bennett brothers.
The Bennett brothers.
And then Miss Darcy, who shows up. And weirdly, it was pretty great. We were having a really nice time. we discovered that Jane Austen, her idea of punctuation does not match up with the modern.
I mean, to be fair, neither does mine.
Fair. But it actually, we were doing what Pride and Prejudice and Zombies didn't do. We were actually looking at the historical ramifications of whatnot and what was possible and what people were actually able to do. And actually, we got maybe 12 chapters in, which just sounds, well, that sounds good until you realize there's like 42 in Pride and Prejudice. Some of them are only 3 pages long, but you know, whatever. Before we realized that we were taking one of literature's few and far between strong female characters and turning them into a dude.
Yeah.
So we're still trying to figure that one out.
It could be doable if you make the Miss Darcy character maybe the viewpoint instead. And so you kind of have the strong female lead trying to protect Miss Bingley. And then the big reveal is that it's all Pride and Prejudice is told from Miss Darcy's point of view, and it's all gender swapped. It's just, it requires a whole rewrite as opposed to just the Pride and Prejudice and Zombies approach.
And if I was going to do a whole Pride and Prejudice thing, I actually would do my other idea, the one I really want to do. Which is, so you remember how we mentioned Mary?
Yeah.
Mary, the random side character, who is super never going to get married and is a middle child and is unfortunate and so forth. Lady Catherine de Bourgh, I always have to do that, sorry, has a daughter of her own who is so unimportant to the story that she didn't even get mentioned in our synopsis. I don't even remember her name. I think she just gets referred to as Miss de Bourgh.
Anna?
Yes, no, it's Anne. Miss Anne de Bourgh. And she, from her birth, was betrothed to Mr. Darcy.
Well,
oh, right.
A sort of understanding between their mothers.
Yeah. But obviously at the end of Pride and Prejudice, what happens? Darcy fucks off and marries some pig farmer's daughter. So, so there's Anne. She's unwed. She has a companion right now, but let's say that companion, I don't know, dies. Psst, kill her off. Who needs that companion? We don't need that companion. Well.
Tell that to Doctor Who.
Oh. Wow. Well, so then you get a little conundrum. We have a spare sister over here. We have a spare cousin over here. What should we do? I know. Mary should become Miss Anne's new companion. Stick these two spinsters together. What could possibly go wrong? Nothing. Except love.
And Vegas.
I was going to go for Regency, Thelma and Louise, but okay.
See, I was thinking maybe they go and be the Doctor's companions, but whatever.
I'm going for a book I can actually sell.
Whatever.
There's no tie-in I can do with that one. No, at the time there was a fabulous Regency lesbian superfox named, in real life, named Anne Lister. And we have her diaries talking about all the various ladies she seduced up and down the British coast and into Europe. But it also goes a great deal into the sexual mores of the time of the lesbian community. I'm not even joking. And shit that was popular and how one went about seducing other ladies in this time period.
I assume that you wink at them, give them the friendly wave, and say, how you doing?
You know what? The hideous thing is you're not far wrong.
Yeah. Listen, I know what girls like.
So using that as source material, I want the story of, you know, Anne's bitter disappointment over not getting to leave her mother's house, not getting to, you know, which, forget about marrying Darcy, it was really about leaving her mother's house. I want Mary's bitter disappointment over getting shuffled off to somebody else, but she's tentatively okay. She's no longer with her mother, and she's in this big house, and maybe this will be okay, and is very uninterested in this being okay, so you got some dramatic tension right there. And then, sexy times. The end. They fall in love. They fall in love. Eventually, Lady Catherine de Bourgh dies. This is my big hit toward literary mainstream. These lesbians. That's as good as I get.
I mean, I feel like any story could be improved with lesbians.
I think that's fair.
And as well, for the sake of appearances, is Mary Colonel Fitzwilliam.
Oh, that's a good point. Shit, Colonel Fitzwilliam. You know what that means, everybody? bisexual sexy times. Actually, that's a very good point. I forgot. Darcy has yet another cousin, and that's cause that's what they fucking do. They have cousins everywhere. And that's Colonel Fitzwilliam, who is also, they're both named Fitzwilliam.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Darcy's first name is Fitzwilliam, and I think Colonel Fitzwilliam's last name is Fitzwilliam. It's weird.
Okay.
Wait, so does that mean when they're together, they're called Fitzwilliam and Fitzwilliam?
Yes.
Probably.
Attorneys at law.
Actually, that would be great. Like, you know what? Call that the C plot. In order to do this right, I want to be able to pull a Jane Austen and get like 5 different fucking stories going on. So let's say, I don't know, maybe Lydia and Wickham have popped back up wanting more money. That's a thing that they do, according to Jane Austen herself. They apparently
Lydia.
spend most of their time being terrible people. So anyway, that's me, guys. I either have this gender switch thing, which is very confusing for me, or I have this Mary and Anne fall in love, however that looks like.
A question I have about the gender swap. What are the chances of Miss Darcy being disinherited for marrying so far below her station?
In this case, the way I think that we had it set up is that she's independently wealthy.
Or Sir Catherine de Bourgh is totally cool with it, because why not? I don't know.
I'm telling you, there was more than one problem with this.
Okay, so that's Kat's ideas there.
Pippin!
All right. I can go next, and it'll give other people maybe more time to think if they need it.
Thank you.
Because I have had a thought for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Let me guess.
College AU.
Listen. Fuck you. But no, a while ago, over the summer, I watched a movie.
Oh, just one?
Yes, just the one the whole summer. It was supposed to be this modern, gender-swapped, queer retelling of Pride and Prejudice, right? I saw it on Tumblr. It had to be good.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It was gonna feature 2 dudes, Mr. Bennet and Mr. Darcy, and it's gonna be things, and so I was gonna watch it with Ashley, and we were like, oh yeah, queer romantic hijinks, we are here for this.
Please tell me it was good.
It was not.
Oh, because I was gonna ask you the link.
No, it was, oh god, it was depressing as fuck.
Oh no. Queer narrative disease.
Yeah, Mr. Darcy, was it Mr. Darcy, who his previous, he had internalized homophobia.
Of course.
His previous girlfriend accused him of assault that he did not do, and Bennett, the Lizzie character, whose name I don't remember now, was a lawyer who didn't believe him, and he was kind of a jerk. And so it was depressing as fuck, and also just not that good production either.
Oh, wait, was this predicated on not believing the woman too?
Maybe a little bit. I don't remember a ton of the details of the actual movie because, I'm repressing it. But, it was depressing and poorly made, so it was just insult on injury. And so Ashley and I, the movie ended, and we were like, what the fuck did we just watch? That is not what we signed up for. We wanted Pride and Prejudice. And at that point, I tweeted that someday I was going to write the book Pride and also Prejudice. And Pride was going to have multicolor heart emojis between each word, or between each letter.
Oh.
So that I was going to write that, and I was just looking up what I said about it. So I was going to be my own queer modern retelling of Pride and Prejudice. Only women, because that's who I am as a person. And I decided that it was going to be, the Bennets, actually were a step family. Mr. Bennet has his 2 daughters from a previous marriage, and Mrs. Bennet has her 3 daughters from a previous marriage.
And this is how they became the Bennet bunch?
Yes! I have in my text I sent to Ashley, like, the day after, that somebody makes a Brady Bunch reference and Kitty doesn't get the joke.
Oh. Does Lydia get the joke?
Lydia doesn't even care that there was a joke.
Oh, yeah.
Although I do think Lydia would find that hilarious.
So then Kitty would laugh without understanding it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Darcy's a woman, but still bi as fuck.
Yep.
And her name is Winifred, which is why she just goes by Darcy.
I would as well. Good.
And she wears like business casual and high heels. And Lizzie owns an outrageous number of scarves and has a pair of heels somewhere that might actually belong to Jane, and Lydia stole them. Darcy is getting her law degree, and Lizzie is getting a master's in business so she can take over the family coffee shop because fuck it, it's also a coffee shop at you now.
There it is.
There it is.
But yeah. So, the Bennetts are small business owners, that are just barely making it, afloat. Darcy comes from old money, old New England money. Cause the fuck, like I'm gonna try to set this in England when I don't know enough about it.
Of the New Hampshire Darcys. Oh.
Yes.
Connecticut Darcys, come now.
Yeah, Brian.
New Hampshire sounds more sophisticated. Come on.
You were going for the New Hampshire dark magics.
Yes.
No. Brent, they have a summer house in New Hampshire. They don't live there.
But yeah, so, they're trying to, keep it afloat. Jane and Bingley, I'm gonna leave alone. They're still doing their thing. I am a firm believer that in whatever adaptation you're doing, it should still be Jane and Bingley in the background making eyes at each other. I remember that I was going to have an art show, an art exhibit involved somehow, because I think I made Jane a painter.
That fits.
But yeah, and it's going to be hijinks and romance, and a lot of fun times. And when Lizzie goes off to the country with her aunt and uncle, she goes up to New Hampshire where where Darcy's has their summer home. And she actually looks at actual mountains instead of the hills that England calls mountains.
And yet, even still, the Appalachians are nothing compared to the Rockies.
Oh my god, and then they go hiking together.
Aww.
And wear flannel, the true lesbian dream.
So, how is it that you and I both decided to gay it up this time? Like, shouldn't there be like a moratorium on, not a moratorium, but like a set number? I don't know.
I say queer it up.
Pip did say from the outset that was her goal.
That's true.
Really, I think I've been falling down
If anything,
on it.
I've been pinching on her brand.
I do find it kind of cute to have it all be set in New England, because then it's kind of like a new spin, New England.
Oh.
And, we can throw in a lot more maple syrup, so come on.
Very important.
Mm-hmm.
Real maple syrup.
Except no substitutes. Okay. Where do Lydia and, what's his face?
Wickham.
Where do Lydia and Wickham factor in here? Same kind of deal?
It still has to be pretty similar, only without marriage, because no one needs that in their lives.
Does he get arrested for statutory?
No, that is too heavy for my romantic hijinks. I'm thinking maybe he audits classes at the same school as Lizzie, which is how they meet. But he also audited classes at the same school Darcy goes to, and had a big old falling out there. Maybe he was kicked out of that school.
Wait, no. He's a TA that sleeps with students.
Yep. Oh. There it is.
No, because Lizzie's getting her master's, so Lydia would be an undergrad.
Ooh. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There it is.
Yep.
There it is.
Got it.
Also, I want to say that the only thing that seemed to scan correctly in that awful movie I watched was that Wickham had a secret family.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like him.
That does sound like him.
Classic Wickham.
He's a dick face.
No matter what, he's a dick face. Like, that's like the resounding understanding of Wickham as a character.
But yeah, that is my happy modern Pride and Prejudice. Pride and also Prejudice. That's my short, sweet, perfect story.
I love it.
And now one of the boys can go.
Right then.
Alex is there.
Yeah, I'm stepping up. Well, you see, What I'm gonna do is Pride and Prejudice in space, 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 space.
I already love it.
Same.
Right?
Nice.
So I'm thinking that, gonna keep it in this solar system,
Okay. All right.
but,
I mean, I guess.
yeah. Well, the country is going to be Earth. You know?
Oh, okay. Oh, so when you're going to the country?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, why would you want to go to Earth?
We have so many other planets we can go to now.
I don't know if you know this, but
Jeez.
I visit with 4 and 20 planets.
Yep.
He earns over 5,000 space bucks a month.
Like, he owns all of Io. Or is it which one's the good moon of Jupiter?
I think if you own any
Europa?
of them, like, that seems like a plus.
True.
Yeah, Europa's full of water.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's pretty.
And stars. Sorry, that was a bad science fiction joke. All right, move on.
Yep. And, that's it. No, yeah.
Done.
No, with space travel now being a thing, actually, no, I don't really know how I'd change it besides setting it in space.
Space,
Okay, well,
space,
we can
space.
build up from here. So, we already established that. Do you want to have interstellar travel, or is it all just set within the solar system?
I might as well have it set in maybe interstellar and have the solar system be, Great Britain.
Well, wait a second. You know what? Let's get down to brass tacks when it comes to science fiction. Is there or is there not faster than light?
I do like faster than light.
All right, so we're getting into space opera hijinks.
Yes.
Once you get into space opera hijinks, then you can start doing all sorts of random bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
Yay! FTL is essentially magic, so we can do it.
Very much.
Yeah, and once you've decided to do that, I feel like FTL should be that's the
It's the hard SF bridge.
that's the Rubicon. Once you cross the Rubicon of FTL, after that you're like, now I'm gonna have clones. Doesn't matter how they work. Let's go.
Well, I feel like you still need some explanation. It just doesn't matter if that explanation is bullshit.
It's true.
Yeah, there's ample room for playing with the setting here. But let's make it FTL. Let's set up that and roll with it. Something like a jump gate or something.
Oh, I like the gate idea.
Oh, yeah, jump gates are always fun.
So the reason why I was thinking a little bit about this whole do you have FTL or whatever is part of what goes on in this time period, in Regency time period, is the delay that you get from travel and messages. That's an important part of exactly. That's an important part of the storyline. So, for instance, the fact that Jane takes like a 3-hour horse ride to get to Bingley's house in the rain is what causes her to have to stay at Bingley's house for like a week. And also you have the letters that Lizzie is able to have a good time with her aunt and uncle while Lydia's off getting ruined because the letters are having a hard time reaching her.
She got both of them at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, with FTL, we just have couriers, literally.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Darcy's explanation for his behavior is written in a letter.
It is. You have to think, you have FTL, but how is that FTL being exercised? You know, you have fast and light. Are they doing it via just really fast couriers? Are they doing couriers or are they doing actual messages? Like, you're getting your messages zap.
Well, no, if it's jump gates, then you can't send communications through. You can only send ships through. So the ship has to carry the message.
Because if you email it, it's going to take a few billion years.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's just difficult to get a communication line through those jump gates. It's normal.
Yeah. The way jump gates work, right, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
We all know
jump
this.
gates.
Yeah.
We all know how jump gates work.
You can make up the rules however you want. It works.
And the nice thing about that is that in order to make the rules work, from there is where you can start making plot happen.
Tension.
But also, what kind of society has developed because of this? What kind of jobs do these people have? Is Wickham one of these jump couriers?
Ah.
Lady in every port. What's his relative age compared to the relative age of people in these other planets?
Well, he's 500 from just jumping so much, but he's...
Well, it depends on how the instantaneous travel works.
Your relative time, yeah.
Yeah.
Relative time. When it comes to FTL, you're just like, this is time. You're done. Yeah, we're on a ship.
There's a really great book called House of Suns where they more or less are like all like several 100,000 years old, or just maybe tens of thousands of years old, because they just travel around in ships going nearly the speed of light and then meet up with each other every once in a while. But that's another story for another time. Where would the Bennets be from, and where would Mr. Darcy be from? I just kind of imagine that, like, owning land in the solar system is seen as kind of low class, but that's just me. It's like all the rich went out to the other systems at the first opportunity.
Well, he either owns a large moon or a small planet.
He owns a planet at Alpha Centauri. I don't know. That's an idea.
I think that this is a really good concept for the regular story to be laid on, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Like, it can fit better than zombies, is what...
That's fair.
So, would the intention of this be essentially Pride and Prejudice in space? Or is there a message is there a purpose to using space in this story? Is there a message from Pride and Prejudice that maybe could be applicable in the future, and this future that you've made up? Remember, one of the themes of Pride and Prejudice is, what do you do to be happy? And that's more important than, like...
what society says you have to do.
Yeah.
Well, when you're considering the deep void of space, none of that even matters anymore.
Deep.
Yeah.
I would think that, I don't know, I guess for the listener, that's something to consider, is with particularly with science fiction or fantasy, why that genre? What are you...
Because everything's cooler in space.
Yeah.
Everything's cooler in space. Thank you, Pip.
I mean, why are you even asking?
All right, I give up.
You're trying to make this all deep, and we're just all like, no.
I'm trying to come up with like a good in space, no one can hear you, ... that's appropriate for Pride and Prejudice, but I'm drawing a blank.
In space, no one can hear you who having a significant fortune being in want of a wife.
There we go. Okay. Any other comments from the peanut gallery?
I don't know, something about Georgiana being like a clone or something.
What? That'd be awesome. Fuck it, why not? Yeah. You guys are the ones who are like, you're taking this too seriously, Kat. Fuck it, everyone's a clone now. You know what? Okay, you know why I really want to get serious on that one? Is because today on Twitter, and I realize this is dating the podcast, but fuck it, I don't care. Today on Twitter, there was a lot of baloney about a new group that somebody has decided to start up to encourage science fiction and fantasy to stop being political.
Here's the thing about that.
To go back to the old days. The old days. You guys remember those, right? When science fiction and fantasy wasn't political. It was just about whole new worlds and wonderment.
All of it is political. The fact that we would have a heroine at the center, putting her happiness first in the future and at a time when there's faster than light travel. That is political because we say, look, we have a fucking future and we deserve to be happy in it.
And this is why I'm upset and why I wanted to make your story more serious. I'm sorry.
All art is political. We don't need to make it more serious because the politics is baked fucking in. It's science fiction.
I love you, Pippin.
If anything, science fiction is always a reflection on the human condition. It's where we're thinking we might go. So, yeah, it's kind of baked in there.
Who you include, who you exclude. It's all politics. The personal is political. I have feelings.
Don't burn your mic.
I can't help it. I'll burn everything to the ground.
Sorry, Bran.
I'm sorry. I really want you to burn everything, including your mic. I'm thinking, I think, though, her point right now is that she stopped caring.
I have a lot of feelings. And I threw my iPad across the bed and I can't reach it now.
Way to go.
That's awesome. You know what? That's a reason enough. I'm going to remember this, and I'm going to bring this up the next time that we see each other in person, and hopefully in public, because I want to see you get, like, rage-ready about this. I want you to Hulk out about the political and the personal.
See, now I actually have to do this and do it right.
Yep.
Way to go.
Make it political.
Fuck it, she's a space captain now.
Yes! See? The second
Captain
you make
Lizzie
it...
Bennett.
Oh my god.
Oh, I would kill for Captain Lizzie Bennett.
Oh my god, guys, oh my god. Captain Lizzie Bennett. Darcy owns a planet. Is she trying to get landing rights? And he's being a dick about it.
Hey, is this a metaphor?
Yes, but also, how awesome is that? I'm sorry, can you imagine? He's like, no, I don't think that your family's really good enough. And she'll be like, excuse me, do I not have produce in my ship that your planet needs? I am a gentleman's daughter, as you are a gentleman. So fuck off.
Like, fuck this. This planet is beautiful.
Oh, this could have been mine.
I do think it's funny how, like, some science fiction stories do kind of, like, almost re-embrace the British colonial era, like, mannerisms and...
Funny.
A lot.
Well, they like it because it's like, hey, we can do this without destroying cultures because, like, a lot of these planets are probably going to be empty, right?
Right.
And we don't have to feel guilty this time. Except we should.
This time.
Womp womp.
That gets into a whole discussion of the problems of steampunk. And anyway, Brendan.
Steampunk's boring. Sorry. I tried getting into steampunk. I really did.
You bought the goggles and
just,
everything.
Yeah. No, but like the stories just never really grabbed me. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, don't have too much myself this time around for Pride and Prejudice. Because, it's a classic Jane Austen story. Let's be real here. So what I wanted to try and do was just kind of come up with a couple little, I guess, to borrow from last episode, a couple of plot bunny ideas. I don't know, they're really plot bunnies. They're not that good.
That's a definition of plot bunnies, dude.
Although,
Yeah.
Side note though, the idea isn't necessarily, we don't need to fix Pride and Prejudice. Pride and Prejudice is pretty fucking great. But how can Pride and Prejudice be a jumping off point for
something else?
And so, Brendan, what could Pride and Prejudice jump off for you?
Okay. So first one is the safe option, right? Because I, of course, got to be an overachiever and got to do 2.
Yeah.
So safe option is sheltered country boy meets rich city girl, but then it gets really boring. I didn't really like it. Because basically it's all just going to be a thing to trick people to be like, oh, don't have assumptions about, the various different types of lifestyles in the country. Don't assume stuff about city life. Everybody has their own plights and stories and all that. Yada, yada, yada. Not really digging it.
Okay.
But that's the first thing. But then as I was going through writing this down, I'm like, you know what? F this noise. I want dragons in this. Let's involve dragons somehow.
Yes.
How? I don't know. And then from there, I started thinking, you know what? We could have things like Lizzie Bennett, Dragon Tamer. Come on, that could be fun. But then trying to actually seriously think about it, just the fantasy setting. So Al took it in space. I'm taking it fantasy.
The two who shall I'll never meet.
Dragons in space.
Dragons in space.
Done.
Space dragons. Oh my god, done. But then I was actually starting to try and think of practically what is Lizzie Bennett trying to do. I was considering, now this might be kind of twisting the characters around a little bit, but I'm almost thinking that Lizzie Bennett is maybe like a rookie assassin, fantasy assassin.
Yeah.
Mr. Darcy is the target.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, but then, we kind of go into why was the assassination called for. Maybe it's actually Lady Catherine de Bourgh, or what's her name?
Lady Catherine de Bourgh. Lady Catherine de Bourgh!
Maybe it was all a scheme orchestrated by her in order to have Mr. Darcy's younger sister or younger brother. Who knows? We can add characters. It doesn't matter. We're not actually calling it Pride and Prejudice with dragons and assassins. But basically, she's assigned to, take Mr. Darcy out, but instead they fall in love.
Oh, I do love assassins falling in love with their victims.
Targets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's a thing I kind of like.
And hey, we could have our problem with Mr. Wickham be solved with murder, so...
Yay!
I love problems solved with murder.
Problem solved with murder.
I was perfectly okay with killing you, Mr. Darcy. I thought you were arrogant and prideful, but now you've actually learned about the real you.
And I'm in love. Okay, so you were saying about briefly. You mentioned dragons.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you may or may not know about. Actually, of course I'm assuming you do or do not know. Okay, anyway, language is hard.
But you're assuming
That you do not know about Naomi Novik's Temeraire series.
nope.
It's awesome and you should read it. It's about Her Majesty's Dragon Corps.
Nice.
I believe it's for the French, the war with the French. So this is, like Napoleonic. It's Napoleonic, which is, of course, that's Regency period, into it.
Okay.
And yeah, it's like getting a fucking dragon, and then you learn how to be a dragon handler, and Temeraire's the name of the dragon, and it's cool. And there's different kinds of dragons. Different countries have different dragons.
The only trick is I wanted to make sure to steer a little bit away from how to train your dragon.
This is very political. Though to be fair, I have not seen How to Train Your Dragon, so I don't know.
You should.
I know I should.
Yeah, it's
I
fun.
know. Thank you, everyone. I've heard this before.
I just wanted to let you know that we'd all seen it.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
But this is about a young man. Well, not a young man, but a dude and his dragon. And political stuff and shenanigans and spies and so on. So, you should read that.
Okay. Duly noted.
Yep.
But yeah, I just wanted a change of settings because I was getting really bored with my first little story nugget. I'm like, this sounds like a sappy, like Hallmark card kind of movie, and I don't really want to do that.
Not that there's anything wrong with sappy Hallmark card movies, because sometimes that's all you want, but not what you want.
That's all we were watching around Christmas.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you know what? It was fucking fantastic.
I can write that for Netflix. It'll be great. Idea I just had, though,
Yep.
to tie in the dragons into the assassination subplot.
Yep.
It's to get a handle on the fact that the Darcys have control of England's largest dragon, hatchery. So it's all about the dragons, man. All about the dragons.
Maybe not the largest. Well, I mean, if you have to think
Not
about
the largest.
Yeah, you have to think about the general, because he's not actually nobility. He's,
Just filthy rich.
he's just filthy rich. So, a dragon hatchery of some
Renown.
renown.
The lovely green dragons.
Indeed. Rather.
And hey, we could have riding around on a dragon instead of dancing together. It'd be great.
Oh my god. All right, so let's see. We have Pip and I went for massive rewrites and gaying it up. You guys went for switching the locale and sort of seeing how the story would play in a different universe
And genre.
and genre. Rock on! Like, these are both valid methods of messing about with writing. Do we have a game?
For the game, we can play the character that would be King, because we really had more fun naming the games than coming up with them.
But tell the nice ladies and gentlemen what it is.
Wherein we make a secondary character in the story the primary character.
Ooh.
So I think someone else should go first.
Well, I think
I'll go first.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Mr. Bennett.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right.
Because frankly, he's always kind of played off as like this kind of quiet, unassuming side character, but I'm just imagining he has all sorts of inner turmoil going on throughout the entire course of the story. I want to get inside his head. What's actually going on there?
Huh.
What makes him tick?
Well, because he clearly likes Liza the best. Why? Okay, yeah, maybe he's like instructing her and stuff like that and, molding her after himself. Awesome. But then also we kind of get, maybe bits of frustration from him as Lydia does goddamn stupid stuff. Always good for kind of parental humor and drama, I'm saying.
On occasion in adaptations, you'll get a small scene of Mr. Bennett like going through the finances and sighing in a troubled sort of way. So basically, you're just sort of taking that and expanding upon it.
Well, he also has that sort of shame. He does very, very briefly feel shame for the fact that he did fuck up as a dad by sending Lydia off with random people to the seaside where all this, like, soldiers were and expecting her not to get knocked up. I mean, he knew she was silly, was not particularly good at being an adult because she's not one.
Lizzie warned him.
Yeah.
Lizzie warned him. And he was like, oh, it'll probably be good for her. And it's like, well...
she got married. Come on. All's well that ends well.
And so he is faced for a significant portion of the story with the fact that he fucked up. And now he believes that he owes his brother-in-law a disgusting amount of money because he thinks that his wife's brother is the one who made the marriage happen. It turned out it was Darcy, but... he is a gentleman. There should be some level of personal disappointment.
Do you think Lizzie's his favorite because he stopped caring about the younger girls when he realized he wasn't going to have a son?
Yeah.
I'd say so.
My theory has always been that Jane was the one that they made to be the perfect daughter. You know, and she's a good, good Regency girl. And then they had another daughter, so the dad's like, cool, this will be the one that'll be my friend.
Yeah.
And then we'll have sons.
No sons ever came.
They were trying a bit with Mary, but their hearts weren't really in it. And then Kitty and Lydia came along, and they just didn't even try.
Yeah.
I almost imagine he keeps on mistaking Kitty's name.
I love all my daughters equally. Jane, Eliza, Myrtle.
And also we can have a funny bit at the end where Mr. Bennet keeps on visiting the Darcy estate.
Oh, yeah. How so?
I don't know, just he always shows up for afternoon tea or something. Not always, but...
They're a bit far away.
Well, shows up frequently for dinner and...
Maybe he pops by to visit, and his visits last a little long.
Weeks.
Yeah.
Shouldn't you be back in Longbourn, sir?
Oh, they'll do fine without me.
Read the room.
I just want to have the internal monologue and long sufferings of Mr. Bennet.
Yeah.
All right.
That's my thing.
Cool. Alex.
Right. Okay. Kitty Bennet.
All right. I like it. She has a lot of issues.
Yep. Start from her perspective about how she is under the shadow of her younger sister.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll do a number on you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, she's Lydia's hanger-on.
Mm-hmm. Nobody takes her seriously. Nobody cares about her health. She has that cough.
Huh?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Kitty has a cough?
Kitty has a cough.
During this, one scene, she keeps coughing.
Don't you ever care for my poor nerves?
I don't cough for my own amusement.
Anyways.
Poor Kitty.
Yeah. And then, after the whole entire Wickham fiasco, she is now Duck in Pemberley.
Longbourn.
Longbourn.
Oh, no.
Yep, Longbourn. That's what I said.
Yes and no. She's in Longbourn, but in the aftermath that Jane Austen described in a letter to a friend, she is taken up by Lizzie and Mr. Darcy in Pemberley. Oh.
We're doing this as text of the novel.
Right.
The author is dead. Figuratively and literally.
The author is dead. We buried her in the backyard.
Wow. Anyway, so Kitty's at Pemberley or Longbourn, depending
Wherever.
on how you interpret it.
At various times. And,
Yeah.
suffering because she is no longer being allowed out in society.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Oh.
And I got punished for the actions of my younger sister, which weren't even my fault, really. It was really your fault, which, to be fair, that's accurate.
Yeah. Even though, technically, as her older sibling, I was supposed to be setting an example for her.
And I may or may not have known about it in advance.
Actually, she did. We all know that.
Yeah.
It turns out.
Yeah.
That's in the book.
Yeah, so, really, I have a lot of responsibility, but still, why me?
Okay, so where does she go from there? Just kind of focusing on what she's going through.
Just the self-improvement of Kitty.
Can she run away?
No, one daughter already did that.
I want her to run away and join the circus.
No. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to be accomplished.
She gonna become the author?
Or something like, what? I'm going to learn to play better than I think Jane plays.
Mary. No, Mary is the one who plays most often.
Well, yeah, but
But that's not necessarily who plays best.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, fair point.
Yeah. I'm going to be wittier than Lizzie, and prettier than Jane, and, more,
More lively than my sister.
yeah.
Good luck, Kitty. Good luck.
I have to say that's a recipe for disaster in and of itself.
Oh, yeah.
I want that to be like almost the beginning, like the prologue, and then the rest of the story is her dealing with waves of suitors who have popped up and having to be wiser than her sisters about it.
Can I throw in a suggestion?
Yep.
What's Mr. Darcy's younger sister?
Georgiana.
Her and Kitty become BFFs because they're about the same age.
Yeah.
Nice.
And they can get into hijinks together.
Can they fall in love?
I was going to say lesbianism?
You know what?
The best hijink.
You know what? Yes.
Woo!
Sticking to brand.
What I do.
Right. So, I believe I've,
Okay.
done mine. Pip.
Yeah.
Whatever. So I was going to do, Kitty, or rather, Mary Bennett.
That was mine, I'd like to point out. I played this game at the start.
But
But-
one, fuck you. That was then. This is now. Two, I figured that was two Bennetts in a row. And while there
Okay.
is a ton of Bennetts running around, which is half of their problem, I figured I'd pick one of the other vast number of choices around. And I would go with Colonel Fitzwilliam.
Aww.
He's a sweet boy. Doesn't get enough time on the page.
Agreed.
Well, all he really does is say, Darcy is actually fun once you get to know him.
And also he broke up your sister and her love.
He's super proud of it, too. Good times. Why are you crying? It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
So, yeah.
So Colonel Fitzwilliam. All right.
Did I think ahead of that? No.
Should you have? No.
Do you think he has interactions with Wickham?
Wickham.
I don't think he really knows Wickham. He's heard of him. He knows something went down, but doesn't know what, because otherwise he would have fucking told Lizzie.
Oh, yeah.
It's true.
So I figure the questions that we have is, what exactly is his military service, because he's a colonel? How exactly is he related to Darcy?
He's a spy. He's a spy. Can he be a spy?
Yes.
Yes.
So he's a spy.
Can he marry Kitty? Oh my god. I want him to marry Kitty.
Oh.
Yes, because then he's a spy and she's been working on bettering herself, and so she's getting into all these places and she's like,
Well, no, she's marrying Georgiana.
oh, that's right.
She can be a spy too. Everyone can be spies. Everyone can be assassins.
Wait, isn't Fitzwilliam already marrying Anne Berg?
No, because, oh, that's right. No, that is my story.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's off having the bisexual polyamorous adventures with
Anne and
Annenberg.
Mary.
Sidebar, for a second there, Pip, I thought you said the bisexual Avengers.
I would also read that story.
I think I've written that story.
I read the story where they're spies, where they ride dragons, where they're in space, where they're all three at once.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not sure how exactly he's related to Darcy other than being vague cousins. But on his father's side, on his mother's side, who knows?
Yeah, that wasn't terribly clear.
Totally cousins. And in conclusions, cousins.
But,
Dum.
so that's sort of a sort of foggy relationship. We could go delve into that. You know, how exactly does he know Darcy? You know, what sort of hijinks do they get into? What is his relationship that he also goes and visits Rosings, and Lady Catherine de Bourgh? While Darcy possibly isn't there as well, just sort of hangs out, whatever. Mm-hmm. He's really just a guy who's hanging out, and we know nothing about him.
Yeah.
We know he's a colonel, and his name's Fitzwilliam.
It almost could be like a Regency slacker comedy. Just Fitzwilliam hanging out with Mr. Darcy and
everyone's all like, what does he do? And he's actually a spy.
Oh my god. You know what though? I would love it if actually there was if he also, I know we just talked about him not having history with Wickham. I would love it if he did. And you know what kind of history? gay history. I want him to have had his heart broken by Wickham. And he can't tell anybody about it because of hideous social mores.
Oh. Mm-hmm. But Lizzie sort of figures it out, and they talk around it.
Yeah. And that's why he's totally cool and fine with Mary and Anne. He would never get in the way of that, even though maybe he's starting to have feelings for Anne, and she's starting to have feelings for him too, but like he'd never get in the way of that, and that's okay, because Mary is totally cool with it too.
Cool.
Oh.
See? I want everybody to be miserable, and then I want them to have a happy ending.
We have to earn their happy ending.
Yes.
Okay, so that leaves Kat?
That leaves Kat, and that's a problem, because my idea was actually a secondary character, but you know what? I'm going to strive to go against type and make the story about Charlotte Lucas.
Yeah.
I would like Charlotte Lucas's story, the decisions she's made, what her marriage looks like now, and then how actually it becomes a good one. I think it should become a good one.
Because, we do see a lot of Lizzie's judgment of Charlotte. We don't see a lot of Charlotte's judgment of Lizzie.
Yeah. And there's a lot to judge.
Charlotte does think that Lizzie kind of made a bad choice. She gets it. But
yeah,
she had an offer. A not bad one.
Nope. A respectable dude who has the, ear of a nobility. I mean, if they have children, imagine what that's going to do for their kids.
Yeah.
And also, frankly, what else did Lizzie have going on at the time? Not a whole hell of a lot. So I would like to have, a slow...
The very responsible life of Charlotte.
Well, not just that, but also maybe, one of those slow sort of adult romances. I don't mean romance like romance novels. I mean the genre. I mean, this is what it means to grow up.
Oh.
And this is how you can still be happy. And this is how you can be an adult. And, you can have a full life without having adventures. I think that there's value in those kind of stories, because sometimes if you're looking for, here's the spaceman and here's the spy and here's this, then you don't learn how to appreciate
what you got.
That, yeah, you don't learn how to appreciate the lives that don't have spies in them, that don't have, and it's totally valid to want that or to become that or whatever. But also there's value in a good life, in just having a home, having a family, becoming fulfilled and content. There's value in that.
And this was life advice from No Story is Sacred.
And I'm definitely the best person to give life advice.
Though that made me think of the song in Fiddler on the Roof, Do You Love Me? Which is between the parents.
Tevye and
Goldie.
Yeah, Goldie.
Their song sort of towards the end, where they sit down and sing a conversation. After all these years of marriage, do they love each other? Mm-hmm. Where they come to the conclusion of well, what else are you going to call this?
Yep. Yeah. And that's not a bad thing. I like the idea of quiet.
Well, I think that's always a moral in a lot of stories, is that sometimes the best reward is a life well lived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It comes up more frequently than you think.
Yeah. It's...
Because adventuring lives are always a lot more of a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But also I think that there's value in being able to show how to do that. That's part of the idea behind fiction, is that we give a blueprint for how to live a life. And that might be a life that doesn't exist or could never exist. That may tell us why we should never do Jurassic Park ever.
Such a bad idea.
Why would you do that?
And not 4 times.
And definitely, at the very least, no predators. Also, it might just tell somebody how to have a conversation with somebody, how to find fulfillment in their life. It's like that. Mm-hmm. Eat, pray, love. I don't know what happened in that book, but maybe that.
She ate, she prayed, she loved. I mean, it's right there in the title.
It's kind of a straightforward guideline.
Only reading the eat and pray part.
The Jurassic Park story?
Okay. I think we've kind of gotten to the end of the game. What do you guys say?
Yeah.
I mean, we had a moral at the end. I think we're good.
Yeah.
I think that we're doing pretty fucking fancy. Thank you very much, says the very serious voice.
So that was Pride and Prejudice. As always, if you have a story to submit, head on over to nostoriessacred.com/submission. Follow us on Twitter at No Story is Sacred, or send us an email through contact@nostoryissacred.com. Your hosts have been Alex MacDonald, Brendan MacDonald, Pippin MacDonald, and Catherine Crichton. Editing for this episode done by Brendan. Transcript done by Ashley DaCosta. Art by Jay Wolfe. Show notes and transcript are available at nostoryissacred.com. Thanks for listening, everyone, and please rate, review, and subscribe to No Story is Sacred. You can also visit our Patreon page to support the show and get neat rewards at patreon.com/nostoryissacred. See you next time when we talk about and take apart the Will Smith movie Wild Wild West. Until then, we're No Story is Sacred, and any story can be changed. I'm Pippin.
I'm Brendan.
I'm Kat.
And I'm Alex.
And we're
No Story is Sacred.
Gonna take you right to the wild, wild, wild.